Hello, my name is Matt Sprague, Market Manager for Trimble. Each year we host dozens of webinars, panel discussions, and regional user groups showcasing the amazing work happening in your communities. By sharing these stories, others have the opportunity to learn how to build stronger, more resilient communities utilizing digital project delivery tools. So we've compiled the top 10 key takeaways from our customers, partners, and subject matter experts in this short video. We hope you enjoy hearing from these instrumental community members and take away a tip or two to help you build better.
The technology part's the easy part. I don't have to create processes anymore. Our users can do that themselves. It's really trying to figure out what it is you want the process to do, and then thinking about how to make it more efficient, and not just converting what you're currently doing, but really thinking about what could you do to improve it as you're kind of building out these process flows.
But one fine day when we're in the process of actually implementing the digital tools for the CIP, I get a call saying, well, this computer system that we are using, which was all paper-based, by the way, from a process standpoint, but there was one computer that we were using has crashed. And oh, by the way, it was a Pentium 5. And this is not 20 years ago. This is 4 years ago, right? And there were some jokes about it, but, there was some nervousness behind it too, to say, well, what do you mean there's no parts for Pentium 5 anymore? Maybe eBay, all those conversations were going on. But long story short, speak about adapting and becoming creative and innovative. The entire team, including the team that was implementing our tools for us, which happened to be eBuilder at that time, we changed gears and we said, you know what? Yes, it's important to the business, the CIP side, but can we adapt this tool for the private business development side? The answer was yes, because a project is a project, right? Doesn't matter where it is. But there was one hiccup there, and the hiccup was that there was a bunch of calculations and formulas that needed to be embedded in the tool. And believe it or not, I think the entire team innovated around it and built the entire ecosystem.
The most popular module we use is the processes. Like I said, when I first started here, I think we maybe had a handful of processes, but now we're over 65 processes. Some of them aren't our background processes that are just taking information for logging so we can just pull reports on them. Some processes like our inspection request, we have a plan review. We have a process for purchase orders and contracts. RFIs are in there, ASIs. We have so many processes here that keep us straight on what's going on, and it have a review process for documents like change orders, contingencies, buyout forms that we require our construction managers to use. We have a process where we can actually review them before they send us the paper copies. So processes is the major process is the major module that we use. Well, when I first started working here and I was a records clerk, it would take about a week to get a contract completely written and sent off to the vendor to get signed, and then they would have to mail it back. So between a week and a week and a half business days is how long it would take for a contract. Now it only takes us like 3 days. And that's from head to toe to get the contract back, executed, and all that kind of stuff. So
that makes it really easy for us when requirements come down for funding about certain project types that might be in serving certain communities or things like that. Because of how we've built out our system, we're very easily able to answer any of those questions. Right? We can identify projects quickly that might meet a requirement. If there's a requirement we never thought about, we can update the system to be able to track that. And from a transparency, auditing, and reporting perspective, yes, this program, the bipartisan infrastructure law will have some pretty significant reporting and auditing requirements. And to me, that's the easy part, because with what we've done already, it's just pulling information out of the system that already exists.
I can tell you that when I came on in 2015, I still knew project managers who were keeping spreadsheets and trying to do things with paper, and we had to get them off of that and say, hey, we have these integrations, they work, you can trust them, it's okay. So there was a little bit of a lag, but we have finally gotten everyone on the same page, and it has really helped us as an organization to decrease the redundancy of what people were doing with, entering it in one place and a spreadsheet and this and that. So it has helped decrease that and then increase their bandwidth so that they can manage more projects or handle more higher level information, because they trust the integrations. So we have an integration between the eBuilder and our ERP system, but we also have the integration of eBuilder to our document management system. So we enter the process in eBuilder and we attach the document to that process, and then with the integration, it sends the information to the ERP system as well as the document to our document management system.
So my role is, from the consulting side, not the owner side, but I deal with all the users. And their biggest benefit, I think, from integration is the point you touched on earlier, was being able to have a single system that has all the information they need. Instead of going to the ERP system, they can go to eBuilder, they find all of their stuff. That was the biggest headache for us, because some users didn't have access to the ERP system. Some users weren't allowed access to the ERP system, so you couldn't even get them in there. But being able to have that single system, single source, they go to it, they find all the stuff they need, because they know how to use eBuilder. They know, how to navigate. They know where to go to find costs. They know where to go to find documents, and then having everything kind of feed there, help them out a ton. And probably the biggest benefit is the real-time information. So knowing if their projects are fully encumbered, if they need contracts, they need more encumbered dollars, if they have change orders and budget changes coming through, what the status of those are, where they're at. Because they can't see that in the ERP system, but they can see it in eBuilder.
When talking about staffing, we all know too well, and especially lately, finding candidates, just any candidates, is becoming very difficult. So the first point would be to find ways to use your staff more efficiently. And by doing that, you can expand on your programs with existing staff while you're trying to supplement with other means, and we'll talk about that too. To do those types of things to make things more efficient, what I always find very helpful is you need to discuss with your staff what are their pain points, right? So, hey, what is it that takes up an inordinate amount of your time that we can find a different way to do, or find a more efficient way to do? What are you always, having to spend time on that? And by grabbing that information, you can find ways to make that more efficient, find ways to consolidate. Maybe you can bring in, instead of having a project engineer, maybe you can bring in a clerical staff to help on some of the clerical pieces. So finding ways to have your staff be more efficient with what their current duties are. So that's kind of what we were bringing up with that first point.
Because like when you think about it, right, we live in a multi-language city right here, multinational city right here. We made sure that we started, if we thought we were going to run into an obstacle at the community meetings, we brought staff, right? And we brought staff along that can speak multi different languages, right? And we did literature in multi different languages, right? A part of that is that this is your community outreach. And we hired, at one point in time, I hired about 5 or 6 kids from the college across New Jersey Institution of Technology as interns. And we put them out in the field. Go out there with CDM, go out there with the contractors, you're the point man. Learn. They were engineering students, but doing this internship, you're gonna learn real construction. You're gonna learn how to communicate not only with the contractors, but with the residents that you're immediately impacting their life. So I think it's a great opportunity, especially in these large cities that got these large programs, to involve the educational institutions, the colleges, the universities, even the schools to come on board and help you with that community outreach, because everybody listens to the kids.
So there is a lot of things that are involved in sustainability. One of them is flooding, and one of them is reduction of carbon emissions. So usually good roads provide good rolling resistance that reduce carbon emissions. And also use of recycled materials will help also reduce of carbon emissions. And tracking the usage of recycled materials, and also design kind of planning projects so that your roads are in good condition, to reduce carbon emissions. And NICE.dot is kind of leading this effort of determining how much the impact of improving the condition of the roads on carbon emissions. So all of these can be tracked and quantified to determine the impact.
One area where we think owners have a big opportunity is in the model clash detection. So an example on this project where Trish and her design engineer and contractor Ames worked really well together was around the site utilities. There were a lot of utilities that had to be built or moved on this project. So just having a full accurate model of all those utilities and being able to do what we call clash detection, which is see if there are any clashes between, let's say, those utility models and the bridge or the roadway models, really help drive a lot of the savings. The MEP or utility systems are typically a very high cost asset for an owner. That's both building and infrastructure owners, actually. So I think this is a good example where just taking that pilot step, like Trish said, using a 3D model in the design phase and doing some clash detection really yielded a lot of great results. And Trish, I would also say that just having the contractor Ames be able to provide input before construction was really valuable, right? I think they were able to give you guys a lot of good input.
I think on the people side, I really appreciate the equity piece of this. And I think when I look at a flow chart or like a diagram, you think of equity as kind of everywhere, right? Everywhere. It's that whole line kind of all that we're doing. But I just had a presentation that I listened to at the Minnesota Transportation Conference from a friend of mine that was like instrumental. And so I just wanted to say a little bit about what he presented. Having hard conversations about equity, talking specifically, digging into prejudice and implicit bias, knowing that inclusion comes first, talking about race, religion, gender, abilities, and just having a better understanding of each other. So I would like to, start there, start having those conversations within my own staff and within our functional groups. I know MnDOT has several diversity inclusion committees and really, has strategies within each committee to really have more compassion and empathy for each other. So on the people side, I think that is something that no matter how much work you have, you really want to, take some time to be people-centric